The room was buzzing even before the hearing began. Journalists huddled near the back rows, their cameras pointed toward the center table. Reporters scribbled headlines in their notepads before a single word had been spoken. Washington insiders knew that today was going to be explosive. Representative Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in Congress known for her sharp tongue and unshakable composure, walked into the chamber with her trademark confidence. Dressed in a crisp navy suit, she carried a thick stack of papers, court documents she had studied line by line the night before. Across the table sat Rudy Giuliani, once celebrated as America's mayor, now buried under a mountain of legal troubles. His face looked tired, his posture slouched, but his defiance was intact. He had prepared to dismiss Crockett as just another, grandstanding politician. What he didn't know was that Crockett had done her homework, and was about to use his own words against him. Mr. Giuliani, Crockett began, her voice calm but razor-sharp, you've repeatedly claimed in public interviews that your conduct has been misrepresented. Yet, I have here a filing from your own attorneys, submitted under oath, in which you admitted you could not provide evidence to support the claims you made about election workers in Georgia. The room went silent. Giuliani blinked, unprepared for the precision of her opening strike. Crockett continued, flipping through the document like a seasoned litigator. Page 12, Section 4, Line 6, your legal team states, defendant concedes he no longer has possession of the evidence he previously alleged existed. She paused, looking directly at him. That's lawyer speak for you made it up, isn't it? A ripple of laughter moved through the gallery. Reporters leaned forward, eager to catch every word. Giuliani shifted uncomfortably, tugging at his tie. That's not, Giuliani stammered, that's a mischaracterization. But Crockett cut him off. Oh, I'm not mischaracterizing anything, Mr. Giuliani. I'm reading from your own filing. You said it. You signed it. You submitted it. And now you want to sit here and act like the evidence just vanished into thin air. The crowd, a mix of congressional staffers, legal observers, and journalists, broke into applause before the chair banged the gavel. Order, the chair demanded. But the energy in the room was undeniable. Crockett had landed her first blow, and Giuliani looked rattled. What made the moment so powerful wasn't just the evidence. It was the contrast. Giuliani, once commanding press conferences with bluster, now squirmed while Crockett, young, sharp, and unapologetic, held him accountable with nothing more than his own admissions. She leaned in, lowering her voice, but amplifying the tension. Mr. Giuliani, is there a reason you keep going on national television claiming you have proof, while your own court documents say you don't? Which version should the American people believe? The one you sell on TV, or the one you file when a judge threatens you with perjury? Giuliani froze. For a split second, he looked like a man realizing the trap had been set weeks before, and he had walked straight into it. The cameras flashed. The crowd erupted again. And Jasmine Crockett, she simply smiled, shuffled her papers, and prepared for round two. The chair gavelled for order again, but the murmurs and scattered applause kept echoing around the chamber. Giuliani tried to compose himself, forcing a smile that looked more like a grimace. He reached for his water glass, his hands trembling just slightly, as if he could wash down the embarrassment that already spread across the room. But Jasmine Crockett wasn't done. Not even close. Let's move on, she said. Smoothly, flipping another page. Mr. Giuliani, in this same filing, your team wrote, and I quote, any statements previously made by the defendant about the conduct of election workers are no longer contested as factual. Now, forgive me, but isn't that legal jargon for, you admitted you lied? The crowd gasped. A reporter in the front row actually dropped his pen. Giuliani leaned forward, bristling. Congresswoman, that's a distortion of what was said. What I stated publicly was based on information I had at the time. Crockett didn't let him finish. And yet, Mr. Giuliani, the court filing doesn't say, based on the information I had at the time. It says, plainly, clearly, you cannot contest the fact that your accusations against those election workers were false. She locked eyes with him. So when you went on television and accused them of crimes, what you were really doing was defaming innocent people for political theater, wasn't it? The tension in the chamber thickened. Giuliani's voice cracked as he tried to reply. No, that's not fair. You're twisting this. Crockett raised a single eyebrow. Mr. Giuliani, I don't need to twist anything. Your own attorneys did the work for me. All I had to do was read. The gallery broke into laughter again, and this time even the chair smirked before slamming the gavel. Giuliani tried to pivot, turning defensive. You don't understand the pressure, the circumstances. I was fighting for election integrity. But Crockett pounced on the word. Election integrity. By making baseless claims you later admitted you couldn't prove. Mr. Giuliani, integrity means telling the truth. Integrity means respecting the people who count the votes, not destroying their lives with reckless lies. She flipped to another section. And by the way, in this same document, your team acknowledges that your statements caused reputational harm to those workers. Do you know what reputational harm means in plain English, Mr. Giuliani? Giuliani muttered, It means people got upset. Crockett shook her head, cutting him off. No, it means you ruined their lives. You smeared them so badly that they received death threats. You caused ordinary Americans, hard-working women just doing their jobs, to fear for their safety. And then, when forced to put up or shut up in court, you admitted you had nothing. The crowd erupted again, louder this time. Reporters' fingers flew across keyboards. The headline was already writing itself. Crockett exposes Giuliani with his own words. Giuliani's composure was unraveling. His face flushed, his voice wavered between defiance and desperation. This is a witch hunt. You don't understand what it's like to be targeted. Crockett leaned back in her chair, unfazed. Targeted. Mr. Giuliani, you were not the victim here. The people you falsely accused were. They didn't have million-dollar retainers or TV platforms to defend themselves. All they had were their names, and you dragged those names through the mud. She held up the document again, shaking it slightly for emphasis. And the worst part, you admitted it, right here, in writing, under oath. And now you want us to believe that you were the one who was wronged. The crowd erupted into applause so loud that even the chair had to give up trying to silence them. Giuliani slammed his hand on the table, his voice rising. This is outrageous. You're twisting my words, you're grandstanding for the cameras. But Crockett leaned forward, her voice low and cutting. Mr. Giuliani, if reading your own sworn statement out loud is grandstanding, then perhaps the problem isn't with me, it's with what you wrote. The room exploded. Reporters stood to snap photos. Staffers whispered to each other, wide-eyed, realizing they were witnessing a moment that would replay on cable news for weeks. Giuliani looked around the chamber, his face pale, his confidence gone. For years he had thrived on bluster, but today his armor cracked. Every time he tried to defend himself, Crockett simply reached for another page of his own filing, a paper trail of contradictions he could not escape. Finally, Crockett delivered her closing strike. She placed the thick stack of documents neatly on the table, folded her hands, and looked directly at Giuliani. You see, Mr. Giuliani, there's a lesson here. The truth always comes out. You can spin it on TV, you can rant at press conferences, you can even sweat hair dye while yelling about conspiracy theories. But when you're under oath, the truth finds its way to the surface. And today, the truth is that you lied, you admitted you lied, and you harmed innocent Americans in the process. She paused, her voice softening just slightly. The difference between you and them is that they had nothing to hide. You did. And now the entire country can see it. The chamber thundered with applause. Some stood to cheer. The chair gavelled furiously, but even he couldn't suppress the wave of energy that swept the room. Cameras flashed like lightning. Giuliani slumped back in his chair, defeated, his eyes cast downward. He had walked into the chamber thinking he could outtalk anyone. But Jasmine Crockett hadn't needed theatrics. She had used the simplest weapon of all, his own words. And in that moment, it was clear, history would remember the day Giuliani was humiliated, and the crowd erupted, as the day Jasmine Crockett cemented her reputation as one of the fiercest truth-tellers in Washington.